Welcome to our 7:30 News Bulletin with me, Jacqueline Saidi. Now the headlines. Pope Francis gives a great voice to developing nations in the College of Cardinals. Chakwera touts the National Data Center as one of the key accelerators in the attainment of the Malawi 2063. Research findings show that lack of adequate funding has led to a dysfunctional health system. And in other news, Kenya's president halves cost of maize flour ahead of elections. We have these and more. Stay with us. A new analysis by the Pew Research Center has shown that Pope Francis' selection of representatives for the College of Cardinals has made the body less European. According to the selection, other parts of the world have gained ground, led by the Asian Pacific region, then the Sub-Saharan Africa, which is on the upswing, rising from 9% to 12%. We have a Catholic News Agency report which is being read by Bridget Manuka.
The Pope's picks for the College of Cardinals have made the body less European, giving a greater voice to developing nations in Africa, Asia and Latin America. According to a new analysis by the Pew Research Center, the 83 cardinals appointed by the Argentinian Pope are now under the age of 80, of which are eligible to vote in a papal conclave. The appointees, 16 of whom won't be installed until August 27th, currently make up a majority which is about 63% of the 132 voting age cardinals. Pope Francis' predecessors, Pope St. John Paul II and Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, appointed the remaining cardinals. Europeans account for the plurality of Pope's voting age appointees, 28 or 34% of the total, the most of any region. But once the latest batch of appointees is installed, Europe will have seen its shares shrink to 40%, down from 52% in 2013 when Pope Francis was elected. Meanwhile, other parts of the world have gained ground, led by Asian Pacific region, whose overall representation of voting age cardinals has risen from 9% in 2013 to 17% in 2022. Sub-Saharan Africa is on the upswing, as well, rising from 9% to 12%, while the Latin America and the Caribbean has had a more modest gain, rising from 16% to 18%.
The said President, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, has said his administration plans to use the just launched National Data Center as one of the areas for the attainment of the Malawi 2063. Making the remarks today during the launch of the National Data Center at Kamuzu University of Health Sciences and Luntha, Chakwera assured that his vision and plans laid out for the development of his country will be achieved. According to the President, the center will host all government-wide systems and help the administration form economic, social, and political insights for effective decision-making and policy implementation, and the Tonsilade administration targets to increase internet penetration in Malawi from the current 18 to 60% by 2025. Here's part of what he said.
In this silent majority of reasonable Malawians, do not remain silent when you see a few individuals either unreasonably demanding the final product while construction work is clearly in progress, or impatiently discouraging those doing the work with negativity simply because the work is not yet finished or because the work is facing solvable problems. We must all stand up to those with the spirit of St. Balat and Tobiah if you don't know Bassan, Ballad, and Tobias, you should read Nehemiah's memoirs about the opposition he faced when he was appointed governor of Judah, and when he and the people of Judah decided to rebuild the broken wall of Jerusalem. Because right now, Malawi is like Judah was at that time, a nation loved and favored by God, but in need of rebuilding by positive-minded citizens after years' destruction by its enemies.
The Ministry of Lands says it plans to relocate about 300 households from Ngona area to Mchezi in Lilongwe as one way of decongesting the area. Deputy Minister of Lands, Dios Gumbabanda, has told members of parliament today that currently it is hard for government to provide social amenities to the residents as there are no proper roads due to congestion. He was making the remarks in response to a request from Member of Parliament for Lilongwe City Centre who wanted the minister to clarify on the relocation plans. Bernard Mwanza has more on this report.
Following the rumors that government has plans to relocate residents from Ngona, St. Chimoka and Area 50 in Lilongwe, Member of Parliament for the area, which is Lilongwe City Centre, Alfred Gia, has been persistently following the matter. On Thursday, Gia asked the Minister of Lands to clarify on the plans, adding that people are living in fear as they strongly feel that they are not being consulted and they may lose out their investments due to this development. Deputy Minister of Lands, Deus Gumbabanda, told the member that government wants to transform people's lives in areas such as Ngona, Area 50, Mtiriza and Mtandile by providing them with essential social amenities such as water, good roads, health facilities and schools, among others, unlike the current situation. He said with the congestion in these areas, government cannot easily support such people unless relocated to some designated areas.
As Minister of Lands, we identified some place around Mchezi. We were cognizant that Mchezi is closer to Kanengo, as we were aware that these people who live around Ngona, most of them they work in the Kanengo industrial site. So it is in this view that we try to fund land around Mchezi so that some of those who are willing should move to Mchezi where we build houses. The
Deputy Minister further indicated that the relocation is not compulsory, as such people will decide on their own. In his comment, the Lilongwe City Centre Member of Parliament Alfred Gia said he feels relieved considering that the project will not force residents and that he is optimistic that it will transform the look of Lilongwe City.
Our country should not be chaotic as it is right now. And you know, these areas are closest to the city center. So it is not on for a country in this 21st century to have such kind of shabby-looking, chaotic locations.
Meanwhile, the ministry has emphasized that it will help in the construction of modern and environmental-friendly houses once these people have been relocated. The ministry is working closely with a local non-government organization called Center for Community Organization and Development, CICOD, and the communities on the project. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, I am Bernard Mwanza.
So in Parliament, the House has passed a bill allowing government to access a 60 billion kwacha loan from the World Bank for the rehabilitation of Kapishura Power Station. Minister of Finance Sostin Gungwe presented a bill for authorization to borrow $37 million from the World Bank on Wednesday, 20 July 2022. Phyllis Chizumbe reports.
On Wednesday, Minister of Finance Sostin Gwengwe presented a bill for authorization to borrow money from the World Bank International Development Association amounting to over $36 million under the crisis response window, while $23 million is a grant. The minister stated that the loan will finance the rehabilitation of ESCOM and the Genco infrastructure which was damaged earlier this year during Cyclone Ana. Gwengwe said the money is going to be used for the rehabilitation of the dam and also building some resilience. According to Gwengwe, ESCOM will have a component in the amount about 15 billion just for the transmission lines and everything else.
From the assessment, I think it would need a combined resources of about 60 billion Malawi kwacha, which would be for the actual rehabilitation of the dam, but also building in some resilience, because what has been happening year in, year out is that every cyclone that comes, that dam or that power plant is affected. So they would want to rebuild the plant, but also add some features that would give some resilience even for future cyclones that would be expected.
Commenting on the matter, Member of Parliament for Chitipa South Constituency, Welani Chilenga, said that government should take issues of money seriously as the country is borrowing money for ESCOM, yet ESCOM still owns a Genco like sum of money.
Section 13 of the Energy Regulatory Act stipulates that the single buyer license was transferred from ESCOM to PML. Honorable members, despite that the law recognizes PML to operate the single buyer function, ESCOM is still clinging to the license. This is worrisome, Madam Second Deputy Speaker.
However, Gwengwe made it clear that the money coming in is under the crisis response, as a Genco is expected to produce 130 megawatts between November and December. Reporting for Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Fales Chizombe.
Remember, you're still watching news right here on Luntha Television. Now, a reminder of the headlines. Pope Francis gives a great voice to developing nations in the College of Cardinals. Chakwera touts the National Data Center as one of the key accelerators in the attainment of the Malawi 2063. Research findings show that lack of adequate funding has led to a dysfunctional health system. And in other news, Kenya's president halves cost of maize flour ahead of elections. Moving forward, a report on health sector accountability in Malawi has revealed that the consistent failure by government to meet the 15% commitment of the total budget to the health sector as stipulated in the Abuja Declaration, which Malawi signed, continues to affect implementation of sector reforms. A member of the COVID-19 Transparency and Accountability in Africa, Dr. Jones Mawalinga, made the revelations earlier today when he disseminated the findings on the study, which, among other things, revealed that issues like unlawful procurement, political use of monetary and other relief, and the diversion of funds have led many communities to deal with the hardship of the pandemic in economic and social isolation. The COVID-19 Transparency and Accountability in Africa project is a civil society-led effort to bolster citizen engagement and promote change in the ways that governments use public resources and increase the capacity of governments to meet people's needs. We have a report by Tandiwe Mzumara.
Key findings from the research show that just like many African governments, Malawi's response to COVID-19 has been overshadowed by instances of waste, management and blatant corruption. Speaking on the sidelines of the event, founder of Follow the Money International, one of the CSOs implementing the CETA project, Hamzat Lawal, also cited lack of government's commitment to meet the Abuja Declaration, which demands that at least 15% of the national budget be allocated towards the health sector, which he said has further hindered citizens' trust in government, reproduced social divisions, and increased inequality, leaving Malawi in a poor position to promote economic recovery.
The Malawian government committed to the Abuja Declaration that ensures that 15% of public resources would be committed to healthcare in the budget. But due to lack of funding, mismanagement and embezzlement of public resources, a lot of citizens are not enjoying healthcare intervention. Today you have dilapidated healthcare structures, you have lack of manpower, lack of medical supply, lack of medication, and even lack of vaccines just because of